Welcome, Sandman Nation. I'm Nate. He's Brandon. We're back for our second video of the week. This week, we're going to talk about the American League Central. We want to give you guys an update on where we're at with the Central. But before we do that, Brandon, Sandman Nation has some amazing pools out there for baseball, for March Madness, for golf. Any of them you're
We sure
jumping in?
do. Definitely March Madness. There's nothing like having squares especially that first week
Yeah.
of March Madness. Like obviously it's fun the second weekend and into the end, but like that first weekend where there's just four games ending at the same time all day, there's nothing like getting in on some squares and having some numbers that you're running towards. So that one always jumps out to me. Um, it sounds like we have a tremendous number of other uh, a bracket, a mega bracket, a mini bracket, sports book, Survivor, 12 spot, pick six, Sweet 16, nine dogs, four guys, breadman walking. Like we're, we're blowing that out. So however you like to watch some college basketball, there's going to be something that fits what you want to have your weekend look like.
That's right.
So that'll be
Sandman Nation
huge
killing
too.
it with that.
Yes, without a doubt. That's going to be a blast. And then there's two Calcuttas going right now.
Well, there's the golf Calcutta, but there's also the MLB Calcutta, and it just kind of recently started. Um, and I was kind of messing around with it. I registered for it. I haven't put any bids on it yet, but I'm kind of interested in the MLB Calcutta right now because I like the futures piece. That's kind of touched on what we're doing right now with the
Right.
forecasts, the previews. But I know that Sandman's got a couple other baseball pools coming. He's had the home run derby in the past, and we'll have a couple others before it's all said and done. But to your point on the March Madness stuff is nuts. It's going to be awesome, and he's got some good golf going. I've been playing in four spot, partnering up with my nephew Sammy. We took down one of them. Well, same as all 27 guys in the pool, so that didn't work out real well for us. We got our split up. But hey, we're fighting this week as Arnie's, and we've got our picks in already, so we're looking forward to that. Um, Sandman pools, man, they just keep giving us options. So guys, continue to check it out. It's actually a lot of fun, and hopefully we're giving you some good baseball information so that when it comes baseball time, you can go out there and take a look and make some future plays out here with the Sandman games.
Absolutely. It's gonna be a great spring.
Going to be a great spring. It is
Yeah.
awesome, that's for sure. Um, so we're here to talk today. We're going to talk a little bit about the American League Central. A little bit different. We just covered the West, and we kind of agreed that the Mariners are the go-to team. In the AL Central, I think we both kind of agree the Guardians are the go-to team, but we have some interest in some other players. Who are you liking?
While I like the Guardians, and I think that over under is too low, I do outside of their bullpen go the offense is just kind of there. So, I find it hard to believe that they're not going to hit the 82 and a half. I mean, that seems kind of crazy, but there is something about the fact that we're staring at this and it's sitting that low that gives me a little bit of a pause. But
That's
for
fair.
me,
They had 96 last year, man, and
well, yeah, yeah, yeah.
96
No,
last year. That's 14 wins off. Who did they lose as much as anything? And I don't have that information up, but I mean I know that Quan's back, Ramirez is back, Santana's back, Thomas is back, Bo Naylor's up and coming. They haven't lost a lot, but numbers wise, those bats have just been okay. They're projected to do fine. Brandon, seriously, they don't have one guy projected to bat over 300 this year. I mean, is that
Yeah.
just the face of the game that we're at right now, where everybody's just trying to hit home runs? I mean, they got some power guys. I mean, they've got one,
Well,
two, three, four, five, six, seven of their nine projected starters projected to go over 10 home runs, but none of them are batting 300.
yeah. It definitely is a sign of where the sport is today, and I do just think that to have the three relievers that they have to go, we just need to make it to the sixth inning, and then most of the time this game is over, um, is a huge help. But they're just when you see that deviation where you go, we were up here and then Vegas is setting their line down here, that just makes me go like,
Something's not right.
they think something's going on.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it's just the variance that you get with relievers sometimes, where if one or two of those guys goes back to being normal or gets injured, then all of a sudden it kind of just puts a hole in the middle of what you're trying to do.
Yeah.
But it that's just what jumps out, for the Guardians piece of it for me.
Totally agree. I think one thing to note is that the Guardians pitching staff is sound. Tanner Beebe's amazing. Top 30 pitcher. They've got the best closer overall in Emmanuel Claus. They've got a decent pen, right? So anything close in this Central, they're going to take care of business. You made a great point earlier. These guys are just beating up on each other in the division. The Central's not strong, not weak. The Sox are terrible, but
Yeah.
they're gonna beat on each other. And I wouldn't be surprised to see a whole bunch of these teams come out just 500, right? So then where the Guardians are going to come out is they're going to probably come out 500 plus in the division. They're going to beat up on the weaker teams in the East and the West, and then they'll probably split to be a little bit down against like the AL East top teams, and they'll navigate consistently against the Mariners and the Astros over in the West, which is probably how they're coming up with 90 wins in my opinion. I just don't, between all the splitting and the navigation of the games, how it's the schedule set up today. I haven't looked deep into who they play in interleague play, um, but that could be the pivotal piece for them. And I know that sounds ridiculous, but it's actually true because we kind of know how they're going to handle the AL.
That makes sense. I can get behind all that. Like that, I yeah. I think outside of just having the bullpen kind of fall apart, it it feels like getting getting through that 83rd win seems way more likely than laying, 110, 115, whatever the split is
To go below.
right now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
agreed. So I'm on the Guardians at 82 and a half over. That's the little money sign you see there. We got a few bucks on that. We'll call it more than pizza money on the Guardians. The 86 wins intrigued me, and I think that I could be considered a sucker, but I think we're going to win that one. There's a couple other good teams, though. Brandon, I know you like the Royals, but I kind of like the Tigers. I follow the Tigers a little bit. Detroit's always intrigued me. It was fun, back in the '60s, the Tigers and the Cardinals played. And I know we're Cardinal homers. We'll talk about them when we get to the NL.
Oh yeah.
But the recent World Series, I've always kind of kept an eye on the Tigers, but they've got some pretty young talent that I like. Riley Green's good. Colt Keith is good. Jace Young is great. Spencer Torkelson's very good. He's been injured. He's actually playing behind Jace Young right at the moment, but he'll get some DH at bats. They have Javier Baez, who we know from the Cubs. They actually have a pretty decent attack lineup that is young, man. These guys, the longest service time is Gleyber Torres at 6 years for the Tigers. They're a young team and they're up and coming. So while I don't think they're going to overtake the Guardians, I do think they're sound in that number two hole. I think they're going to give teams like the Yankees, the Red Sox, the Blue Jays for sure, definitely the Rangers. They're going to give them fits because their youth and their excitement to be playing the game is great. We remember back in the day when the Cardinals would turn over youth and people would go like, "Why are the Cardinals good?" Well, a lot of it was because they were excited to be in the majors and playing ball. And when teams get old and long in the tooth, it definitely doesn't help them in terms of winning championships. It might help them in terms of average, it might help them in terms of numbers.
Right.
This Tigers team is a little bit young, and they've got potentially one of the best pitchers in baseball in Tarek Skubal. And Flattery, they re-signed Flattery as a free agent out of the Dodgers. He was with the Cardinals. He went to the Tigers. He went to the Dodgers. Now he's back with the Tigers. Two top 10 pitchers. I like
He's
that.
the one that makes it rough for me.
I like that a lot.
Every time I see his face, I just
Oh, I
go
know.
like, man, he just looks like he's thinking something stupid. And
That's because you saw him do it too long in St. Louis.
I know, wears me out with his dumb look on his face. So yeah, yes, all that you're saying, like all analytically makes a lot of sense. I have a hard time. There's certain baseball players that I pick out and then I just don't bet for or against because I don't like them
Yep.
as a human being on this planet. So I just have to go, I can't be reasonable about this, so I'm just gonna leave it alone. And he's one of those guys. So
You're
so yeah, the
fairly accurate in that statement with me, too. I, I appreciate where you're at. Do you think the InnerSandman.com guys feel that way about their teams? You think they got guys that they just don't like the way they look, from the Twins,
I,
Platt to the
oh,
Twins, and you think Eric has feelings of that? I'd be curious to hear what those guys think.
it is an interesting thing because this is a good Eric, especially being in Cincinnati,
Oh yeah,
would help with this conversation a lot because several of the people that I have that are like my nemesis on this earth, like played for Cincinnati.
yeah.
So Johnny
Phillips,
Cueto is one of my least favorite humans that's ever walked around on any of these baseball fields. So
Cueto, Phillips.
um,
Oh yeah, the Reds for
yeah,
sure.
just
That
a
being said,
problem
I
from end
love
to
the
end.
way Ellie De La Cruz plays the game. We'll get to him later.
Yeah, no. Look, they've transitioned where several of their players I enjoy quite a bit now.
Yeah.
But back in the day, um, I always had a lot of respect for for Votto, right? But there were several other players on that team. Who was that second baseman? Brandon Phillips.
Phillips.
Like, yeah, he was
Didn't
he
like
was
him.
one. And look, you want to play hard for your team. So
Yeah.
those guys that play hard for their team, it's easy to become not the favorites of the fans of the other team. But yeah, I'm sure he's got the same thing where he just has a handful of Cardinals that he's just like, I don't ever want to see that man's face again. So hopefully he'll be able to enlighten us once he gets a hearing of this.
Absolutely. Now, while we're talking about the Central, we are talking about the AL Central. So let me wrangle you back in because you and I
Sure.
do tend, being the St. Louis
Uh-huh.
Syndicate, to drift off into the National League. I'm kind of a National League guy. I've always been a National League guy, so we want to stay focused here. But we're from the state of Missouri. What do you think about the Royals?
Yes. I like the Royals.
Yeah?
They would be the one here that I would be interested in going over on.
Okay.
I think they are set up well. Again, we're kind of digging back to the same way that I was zeroing in on pitching in the AL West. They've got two guys that are holding down the front end of that rotation. They have one of my favorite people running around, Bobby Witt Jr.
Oh, yeah.
And I think this team is poised to kind of have an upswing. They've got some veteran talent. They got Perez still behind the plate doing his thing. and
which we
they
know
bring
how a
in
veteran catcher can really
yes,
help a team.
yeah, and help pitching.
Oh yeah,
And when you've got two top pitchers running around, and then you get down into the bullpen and you've got, four guys in the bullpen that are like the top 100.
yeah,
Um, I think
hard.
that they're poised to right now they're being rated as a middle of the road sort of team. I don't see any reason why, with the growth that they could have from these younger players and the veteran oversight from some of the older guys, why they aren't the ones nipping at the Guardians' heels come the end of the year.
Well, I mean, if you look at so the numbers on the page right here, these are DraftKings numbers. They've got. I mean, now I have them in a particular order because this is kind of how I see them falling. Um,
Sure.
but at the end of the day, you'll see the numbers. Detroit and Kansas City are right there at 83 and a half, and they've even got Minnesota at 84 and a half, with Cleveland at 82 and a half, which begs to your point, what the hell's wrong with Cleveland? But
Huh?
I'm still hanging on, going Cleveland's it until they're knocked off the throne. But there's youth and there is desire and there's good talent and the Royals and the Tigers organization, man. So let's. I'm with you on that. I can get behind that and support that. Obviously, Witt's amazing. I love him. I do like their
Yeah.
additions, India and Renfro. I love that they have two pitchers in the top 10. The Royals, I think the Royals could be very much a sleeper because if I'm not mistaken, their managers used to come from the Brewers. Isn't it Ned? What's his name? Ned Yost? Is that who it is? Their manager? Uh,
Yes, I
and
believe so.
he kind of caused us all kind of problems for years because he's a decent manager. And I think when you or no, Council. Is it Council or Yost? I don't know which one it is. Um, I should know this.
Yeah.
Oh, it's Matt Quantro. I'm sorry, they changed it. It's Matt Quantro. Um,
Oh,
so we're going to bounce that. They promoted Matt Quantro in his first team with the Royals. They were not good, but they have bounced back. It was Ned Yost. That's where I was getting that from. So that being said, I still think that the leadership of this team could drive the amount of wins that they have and how they actually end up with their positive results. If they don't do that, they're going to waste a lot of their young talent, and then the Royals become very similarly to the Pirates, a feeder for other organizations because they don't re-sign their guys.
that's for sure. Yeah, because they don't want to spend the money.
Yep.
Yeah. So, when you have this upswing and look that, they have this young talent that is holding down the front end of their lineup, they've got to strike when it's hot. And they did the last time and ran themselves all the way up and then, let everybody leave and bottom back out and got draft picks and then worked their way back up. And it worked well. And I think that this is the year where they can really make a jump.
Yeah, they can. And no disrespect to Quantrill, but I mean, they won 89 games last year. But the year before that they won 56. So they literally improved by 30 games in one season and they could easily hit 90 wins.
Without a doubt. And I think that that's where they get the opportunity um, to push on a division that's, not the greatest. Like when you look at this and you go, hey, everybody's around 82 wins,
Correct.
you get the opportunity to, hey, if anybody stumbles, take advantage. and make it really tough on them.
Yeah. Um, as we bounce through, taking a look at the Twins, anything excites you about the Twins? To me, they're very blasé. They are.
Yeah,
It's a rough word, but I understand. They they have okay pitching. They have an okay pin. They have a subpar offense. They have a star in Byron Buxton and Carlos Carrera, and they're just going to be average at best. With DraftKings having them at 84, I actually see them going below the 84 this year because I think of the upswing that we're going to see with the Tigers and the Royals and the natural gravity of the Guardians.
yeah, I would agree. I looking up and down, like they have some talent running around, but I just don't see anything that jumps off the page that makes me go, I'm gonna have a real strong opinion one way or the other with them.
I don't think I would bet their over under in any way, shape, or form. What I would bet though, and what I did bet, was the White Sox. The White Sox with DraftKings hanging them out there at 53.5. I went ahead and played that because I think they're going to be much closer to their number last year of 41 wins. I could see that actually repeating itself because I personally believe the White Sox are terrible and will remain terrible for the foreseeable future. They do have a couple of good players in their organization, Colson Montgomery and Noah Schultz, who potentially could come up and help this year. I think they've got Colson Montgomery slotted as their starter for shortstop. Ultimately, though, he's not seeing any major league action, and I don't see that helping them a lot. They're a fairly young team. They've got a very, very, very weak pitching staff. I mean, their best pitcher is the 134th ranked player overall. Their best bullpen guy is a middle reliever, Cam Boozer, at 186th overall. The White Sox are going to find it very difficult to compete this year, not just against the AL Central, but against the entire AL and then anybody they run into in the NL. I think that 53 wins is an absolute ridiculous reach, so I put my pizza money hanging out there on the White Sox to go under.
Yeah, I would have to agree. I mean, to me, this is one that like if there's books out there that let you like ladder and get alternate unders, it it would seem, depending on, the price, that uh, I mean, why not get down into the mid 40s
Yeah,
or something like that to go,
get some plus
like,
numbers.
why are these guys winning more than 40, 41 games when it comes down to it? I
It
I
is baseball. You're going to
I
have
don't see.
wins, but
Yeah. Yeah, but I think that 120 losses is something that they're going to be staring straight into the mouth of.
it's going to be rough for the White Sox this year, I think.
Yeah.
I think probably, and I don't know what his contract looks like. I think that's something I should look at. Uh, it's actually pretty interesting what Lewis Roberts' contract looks like.
Oh,
He's in his fifth
sure.
year. He's 28. He could be traded. They need to probably trade him in terms of taking a look. I mean, he's a high paid guy. He's on a 6 year contract. Oh, there you go. He's under control through 25. He's got a 26 and 27 club option. He's very tradable. I could see that him making a move by the end of the year. He could help a team trying to make a run. Um, maybe he's not going to go in the division. It could go over to the National League um, to pick that up. He's a center fielder. So whoever's maybe light in the center field, maybe if a team like the Cardinals decides they're making a run and they want to move Lars or somebody over, maybe a team that like the Giants is making a run and they want to pick up a center fielder, you can see Lars
Yeah.
making a move in July.
Yeah, because and to have two club options after that for what could be reasonable pay if he's on a good team
Yeah.
and producing,
Reasonable
to
pay,
you
good
know
team. Somebody,
20 million, 2026, 2027, like for the I mean he was able to put up some stats on a team that I legitimately seemed like they were just like we're done with
Yeah.
trying to play the sport last year.
They need some organizational depth to eventually try to compete in the Central, and getting rid of him would help them, especially with 2 years of control at a reasonable price for a contender who wants to give up some talent. It
Yeah.
wouldn't hurt them. Their pitching's bad. Their hitting's bad. They need all the help they can get. They need to be moving him quickly.
It seems like the way to go. And there's plenty of talent. The only way to fix a team like this is to start all over.
Yeah,
Like when you empty your team to this extent, there's not like we get two or three guys and all of a sudden this is better. This is you need layers, not to mention just at the major league level, but you need layers of guys that are being trained up properly to come in behind them to get back to what the White Sox were a couple of times in the last 20 years.
absolutely. So, Brandon, that's our AL Central review. I think that we can agree the Guardians are strong, but the Tigers and the Royals are knocking on the door, and that's kind of how it's play out.
I would agree. What do
Well,
we
hey,
say? We do East and East the next week?
yeah, we'll hit
Get
the.
over the top?
Yeah, I like that. Next week we're going to target the East and the East. We'll have some good things to say about the Yankees and the Sox and the Orioles. Bounce around, maybe talk about the Nats, the Mets with Soto. See what the Braves can come up with, and we'll give you guys an update on what we think, whether that's valuable or not to you. It's what we think, and we're the ones making the videos. So you guys have an outstanding week. Good luck with your bets. I'm Nate. He's Brandon. We're the Syndicate. Peace.
Cheers.